way the whole operation has been done, it leaves a lot of eyebrows wide open. This has been used by the Americans to put pressure on both the countries and say, we have mediated, we have brought peace, and you should work together for trade, which is in the larger interest. And now, if the Americans are there, American companies are there in a big way with Pakistan also, it will be a win-win situation for both India and Pakistan against China. Because Chinese, the Pakistani military also doesn't have very good relations with China. So in that way, if they find an alternative and rehabilitation of their ties with America, they would go along. The civilians would have no choice but to fall in line with what the military, which calls the shots there. You see, if you survey the Prime Minister's visits to foreign countries, has he ever said that he is going there to help his friend Adani or Ambani? Never. But quietly he does the job, and we get to know after some time if the Haifa refinery has been bombed. We didn't know. After Sheikh Hasina's overthrow, we got to know, or in Sri Lanka or Maldives, so on and so forth. So you see, there is this hidden agenda of all leaders to promote their interest, to promote their friends, and Modi also is doing this, and it is understood when Prime Minister Modi went to America on 13th February. The agenda is becoming very clear. It is trade, nothing but trade, stupid trade.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. United States, Japan, India, and Australia, which are part of the Quad group, they have pledged to work together to ensure a stable supply of critical minerals as worries grow over China's dominance and resources vital to new technologies. The four countries said in a joint statement that they were establishing the Quad Critical Minerals Initiative, which is aimed at collaborating on securing and diversifying supply chains. And not many details have come out of this initiative, but what is very, very clear is that America has thought of exploring the rare earth minerals in Jammu and Kashmir and also in POK, which has huge reserves of lithium. POK, in fact, has a much greater reserve of lithium than what India has. And now, with S. Jaishankar totally denying Trump's statement that he was the one to effect and engineer a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. And now, behind the scenes, if this kind of a deal is being worked around and this kind of an initiative is being worked around, the big question is that was Donald Trump eyeing on the rare earth minerals in Pakistan and in India? And was this trade deal really the reason behind the ceasefire between India and Pakistan? And S. Jaishankar, the foreign minister, continues to lie on this, it seems. So we'll try and discuss this evening. And joining me is Professor Aftab Kemal Pasha, international affairs expert and diplomat and a West Asia expert, who joins us this evening. Thank you so much for joining. And I would like to ask you about this rare earth minerals initiative, which has been agreed upon by the Quad nations. And would it be right to begin with this question, that was Trump really eyeing on the rare earth minerals in Pakistan and India? And was that the major reason why the ceasefire happened between India and Pakistan?
Yes, I think in my view, undoubtedly, this has been at the top of his mind, because you remember the day we agreed for US initiative for ceasefire after Pahalgam and Operation Sindoor. He has been talking that you people should stop the war and agree for ceasefire, and then we can have great trade relationship with India and Pakistan. So apparently, the geological study report was already working on his mind. When he mentions trade, it is not that he is interested in importing Indian fruits and Kashmiri apples or Pakistani textiles or dry fruits from there. He has this overwhelming pressure after his tariff war and trade war with China and China's retaliatory measures, including high tariffs and cutting off of rare earth minerals, over which it has fairly good control. So that is like choking or strangulating American arms industries, which are a huge part of American military industrial complex. So most of the reports suggested that what US had was sufficient only for 2-3 months. So you can link the shortage of rare earth minerals to the 3-month pause, which US has agreed with China. So in this 3 months, it is extraordinary search to scout wherever rare earth minerals are there from Central America to India, Pakistan, or Africa, so on and so forth, is being done on a war footing. Because if you see, as it is, the American manufacturing industry has shifted quite a few years ago to China and other countries in the global south. Now, if they run out of key minerals, metals, which are essential for the American war industry, manufacturing industry, so it will be a major, major blow to the American economy. So in that way, the American establishment, deep state, is worried, and no wonder Trump has been repeatedly talking about this trade war and re-emphasizing about the ceasefire more than 15 times. And the whole idea is both should uh, focus on the development and trade, uh, uh, which, as you rightly pointed out, huge deposits of rare earth minerals are found in both parts of Kashmir. And if one were to attack the other, either cross border or retaliatory, so all this will go up in flames. So the American companies would like to see peace and tranquility on the other side of the LOC, so that they can invest. Because rare earth minerals, it needs quite a lot of investment, equipment. It's a long-term investment. It's not like
No, it's
drilling
not
oil
about.
well.
Right. No, just like in the Middle East, there was an oil war, and there was a war because of oil wells, and this entire capturing of how this oil economy can be captured. Now, is rare earth mineral now the next point of contention between the nations? And looking at the way Quad has signed this critical rare earth critical initiative minerals initiative, it does seem like where countries like Pakistan, countries like India might become the new war zone because they have huge reserves of minerals like lithium and etc.
You see, the comparison between Gulf oil sheikhs and India and Pakistan, it is not appropriate, because these regimes in the Gulf, they were tribes by the British. They were given flags, and Kuwait, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, UAE, Oman, they were created virtually out of nothing. So these tribes, which were scattered in the Arabian Peninsula, they were made to live a sedentary life. They were confined to these GCC states, because all along the coast, the British and the Europeans had deprived of their, uh, source of livelihood, which was exporting horses, dates, and gems, and rubies, and other things. So they were indulging in fighting against the Europeans, which they called piracy. So in order to avoid piracy, they confined these tribes, and they gave them subsidies. So they kept quiet, and they supplied all the essentials from India and other parts of the British Empire. But they were willing to cooperate when the oil was discovered. All these Gulf monarchies have given huge concessions to the Western oil companies, and they are exploiting. And they are exporting, and the petrodollars are recycled. And these states are dependent on the Americans for security. So, but India and Pakistan are different. They are independent countries. India has had a very conflictual relations with America. It's only recently that we have established strategic relations. So, Pakistan was, of course, a client state, but there also civilian governments have risen against the American influence, and they have found an alternative in China. So now, through this aftermath of Pahalgam, Americans have found a leverage over both the countries, and they want to use it productively for trade. And trade means rare earth minerals, basically, not apples and cotton textiles. So in that way, they need the cooperation of both, because it is straddling the borders of both the parts of Kashmir.
Right. But, sir, I want to understand something. When you link this rare earth minerals fight with the kind of ceasefire which we saw between India and Pakistan, and today, I mean, I was just reading S. Shankar's statement, which he has made late last evening, and he was saying that he was in the room when US Vice President J.D. Vance spoke to Prime Minister Modi on the night of May 9th. He said that Pakistanis would launch a very a massive assault. We did not accept certain things, and the Prime Minister was impervious to what the Pakistanis were threatening to do. And on the contrary, Modi indicated that there would be a response from us. So basically, he's trying to say, as Jaishankar is trying to say, that nothing happened at the behest of Donald Trump. And this is the first categorical denial of what Donald Trump has been saying. So there is something what the leaders are saying. Say, for example, Prime Minister Modi, what S. Jaishankar is saying, what Trump is saying. But behind the scenes, you have these deals coming up. So is trade the biggest incentive for the ceasefire?
Obviously, I think trade is the overarching uh, driving force. You see, we are in a denial mood. We deny that we lost fighter jets. We deny that ceasefire was under American pressure. We deny so many things, that we have not lost our pilots, and we would have taken more action, etc., etc. So both are reiterating their position. America and President Donald Trump, they are reiterating that it was they who negotiated once, whole night they talked and persuaded both the combatants to ceasefire. So they stand on their point of view, and we are continuously in denial. But there is no doubt who is the stronger party in all of these triangular contests. So the ceasefire is not just one instance where this Modi government is silent and denying. There are many other issues, a whole series of issues where Prime Minister Modi doesn't open his mouth, or Jaishankar says something which is contrary. So all of these contradictory pulls and pressures, for the public it is very clear where our interest lies. And for example, you mentioned to this Quad. Quad started with in the aftermath of tsunami and humanitarian aid and floods and earthquakes and such non-military issues. Now if you read the joint statement issued yesterday, it is such a lengthy one. It is almost entirely devoted to the threat in the Indo-Pacific region from China, from shipping to mineral resources, and the navy adopting threatening postures, air force, so on and so forth. It's a very detailed narrative of the so-called aggressive behavior of China, threatening neighboring countries from Philippines to Vietnam and this Taiwan, so on and so forth. First time it has such a lengthy, extensive statement directed against China, although China is not mentioned even once. So, for all practical purposes, between the lines, if you see, we are now part of the American alliance in this Quad 2 against China. First time they have mentioned Myanmar. First time they have mentioned these countries in the region, and also Pahalgam. We have found a reference that Pakistan also is not mentioned. It's only the terrorist attack, cross-border tourism has been mentioned, although we failed to get SCO's endorsement for Pahalgam and cross-border terrorism because of the ganging up of China and Pakistan. But now we have found a new platform to pin down Pakistan on this Pahalgam issue, which is a plus point for us. But here there is a give and take. Americans would not have included if we had resisted on the rare earth minerals. It is for the first time that a quad agreement has been signed where these rare earth minerals and how China has been using it as a strategic tool, bargaining tool against other countries. That also has been denounced, and we have become party to it. So in that way,
China Professor Pasha, China has been using the rare earth minerals as a strategic tool repeatedly, but America couldn't do it, India couldn't do it, or say, for example, Japan or Australia couldn't do it. It was their problem, and maybe it was their strategic failure. But now, since they have decided to counter China on this front, do you think that there's going to be like a major escalation because of this rare earth minerals, and which is why zones like Jammu Kashmir's Riyasi or POK will become so vulnerable in the coming days then?
see, first of all, America doesn't have control. It is a net importer of rare earth minerals. Neither has Japan, nor in any other country. Only Russia, China, and some small Latin American countries have this rare earth minerals. So now that they are found in Kashmir, this is going to be a very major factor in American quest for search for rare earth minerals, and that is how they have now utilized the ceasefire to propose to both the countries through Quad, joint pressure from America to Japan to Australia. It is not a bilateral agreement between India and America. It is a quadrilateral agreement. And all of these four countries would be investing, and Pakistan also would be a willing partner through American influence over Islamabad. But my worry is, this is of course a legitimate concern in the background of what China has done. China has used its rare earth mineral strategy because it has monopoly over it. It has invested long time back, and that has proved to be a very effective tool. But now America is scouting all over the world. But Jammu and Kashmir, from our strategic point of view, our hostile relations with China is concerned, the American companies are going to invest, and they are going to be physically involved in such a big scale because these mountains are very rugged and tough mountains, and you need a lot of equipment, a lot of roads, connectivity, and infrastructure, and all. It will take years. And these roads, these high altitude mountains, could be a tough issue, and they would like to have airstrips also, if we agree to airlift equipment, because they cannot take deep inside the Himalaya mountains this heavy equipment. So Hercules C-130 will be used. So they need airstrips, which they will expand later on. From their point of view, American point of view, in addition to what Pakistan can offer as airfields and air bases to the Americans in their future war with China, if they want. So this Kashmir also offers an excellent base facilities for them in the guise of searching for rare earth minerals, and it is very close to the border. As it is, Pakistan has given a chunk of Kashmir to China, and after 370 abrogation, they have been raising their eyebrows, Chinese, about Ladakh being part, and so on and so forth. So, and more importantly, they tried to overthrow the Islamic Republic regime in Iran, and tried to prevent export of Iranian oil to China. But that did not happen, and they wanted to use Iran to cut the Chinese BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, and all the connectivity the Chinese have built over the last 10, 15 years, like gas pipeline, oil pipeline, rail links, road links, and whole lot of infrastructure. They have virtually tied Central Asia to China. Export hundreds and thousands of trains, trucks pass through. So they could not, because of Iranian capability, they could not. So now they have found an alternative by ceasefire between India and Pakistan in the guise of rare earths, which of course is a legitimate concern if they have found it. I have no authentic information, but and under the guise of this search for rare minerals, they will build airstrips which they will expand, and in times of war and threat, they can use it in addition to the facilities. They can, soft underbelly of China. It is very easy from Jammu and Kashmir to knock out bulk of the Chinese capability, nuclear capability, and so on and so forth. It will be easy for them to enter through
But,
this corridor.
right. But this signing of the critical rare earth minerals initiative, it actually brings out the lies spoken by the Indian government on Operation Sindhu. And does it not prove Donald Trump correct when he said that it was the trade deal we were doing because of which a ceasefire was gotten? So the point is that has this the signing of the rare mineral earth initiative, does it have a strong connection with the ceasefire which happened between India and Pakistan?
See, if you trace the genesis of this whole issue, take the example of Pahalgam. JD Vance was here. It happened
Yes.
during his presence. Number two, our government put up three or four photographs of the terrorists. Later on, they withdrew that. They have not been nabbed. And we launched this Operation Sindoor. And we knew China would help Pakistan. And we expected America to use its influence over Pakistan or any mischief there. So the way the whole operation has been done, it leaves a lot of eyebrows wide open. This has been used by the Americans to put pressure on both the countries and say we have mediated, we have brought peace, and you should work together for trade, which is in the larger interest. And for the time being, we are also happy that you know we are assured that our strategy against BRI was not working very successfully. Now, if the Americans are there, American companies are there in a big way with Pakistan also, it will be a win-win situation for both India and Pakistan against China. Because Chinese, the Pakistani military also doesn't have very good relations with China. So in that way, if they find an alternative and rehabilitation of their ties with America, they would go along. The civilians would have no choice but to fall in line with what the military, which calls the shots there. So in that way, no matter what Jai Shankar says, the agenda is becoming very clear. It is trade, nothing but trade,
And
stupid
Modi,
trade.
so basically, the trading and what has also been exposed now with this Quad initiative of rare earth minerals is that the trade was for these rare earth minerals, which is why the ceasefire happened between India and Pakistan. So is it not very clear now when you join the dots that with Jay Shankar has been lying, Prime Minister Modi has been lying, it was only and only because of the rare earth minerals in POK and Jammu and Kashmir that this ceasefire was fructified. Is that what we say towards the end?
You see, if you survey the Prime Minister's visits to foreign countries, has he ever said that he is going there to help his friend Adani or Ambani? Never. But quietly he does the job, and we get to know after some time if the Haifa refinery has been bombed. We didn't know. After Sheikh Hasina's overthrow, we got to know, or in Sri Lanka or Maldives, so on and so forth. So you see, there is this hidden agenda of all leaders to promote their interest, to promote their friends. And Modi also is doing this and it is understood when Prime Minister Modi went to America on 13th February. See, there was this unusual meeting, and Trump was upbraiding BRICS that it is dead. And shockingly, our Prime Minister did say anything. And we have agreed to everything. We have not contested whatever America has done. Very feebly, the Prime Minister did for the sake of domestic audience during the G7 meeting. But he has not openly challenged Donald Trump in a press conference that "Look, what you are saying is bakwas. It was we who arranged. We have no business of inviting you as a third party to arrange ceasefire or Kashmir negotiations, so on and so forth. And now, you see, when the Chinese build a road link or any such thing on POK, we denounce Chinese investment there, saying that it is encroachment of Indian territory. It belongs to us. Now, if the American companies dig up there and plan huge investment, and if the Americans want opening up the LOC to travel the heavy equipment from this part to that part and enabling trade and all, we have no answer. So the government is preparing the Indian people that look, the deal has been done. Now through surreptitiously the Quad statement has come, which has nothing to do with rare minerals. It is American agenda. They are pushing the American agenda. So now the Indian government also is preparing the public that look, after some time, they will dig up mountains for rare earth minerals, and then they will need to cross on the other side of the border, and all of this will happen, and
But
there will
how
be
does
no
it work?
denounce. No,
Yes,
India will not denounce the American investment in POK as it has
absolutely.
denounced Chinese investment in POK.
Absolutely. And on a lighter note, can I ask you now that it's no longer India's Kashmir or Pakistan occupied Kashmir? It's an American occupied Kashmir now.
For all practical purposes, it is the American companies who will have a free hand in the name of rare earth minerals. What they will be doing against China or against us also, we may not know, or against Russia. It is like an open field. The skies are open. The whole thing is open up.
Pasha, there is another question, which people will ask, that if China could use its rare earth minerals as a strategic tool, why couldn't India think of it, think of doing the same? And India rather is spawning everything in the lap of America. Won't questions be asked?
Yes, of course, this is a legitimate question. It belongs to our people, our
Because it's
territory. It is
our
under our
resources.
control.
Why should it go to American companies?
This again shows what the government thinking is. You see, I won't be surprised from the Indian side. Government is not involved, but Adani's company is involved, or Reliance company is involved as a subsidiary to the American companies. So it is a joint venture. They will say, we don't have capital, we don't have interest, we will have Indian companies. For namesake, they may have smaller companies, but it may be Adani who will have a major say in this for the American companies to collaborate and all of these things. So it is bonhomie between America, Adani, and Modi government and Pakistan. They will say everybody will benefit from trade. America also will benefit, Pakistan also will benefit, Adani and Modi government, and Kashmiri people will develop. There will be infrastructure, good roads, and everything will be there. And your future is bright. But behind the scene, the future of China also is at stake, and which may engulf us deeper into the Indo-Pakistan imbroglio, Indo-China imbroglio.
Absolutely. So it leads to many, many questions. But yes, one thing is very clear, that in this entire sequence of events, you see how the ceasefire happened, how Trump insisted on a trade deal, and now you have the Quad countries signing on a critical rare earth mineral initiative, which is very, very clear that, of course, rare earth minerals were at the center of this entire drama which unfolded. And it has easily
Hello,
given it.
I'm
And now we'll
joining.
have see how all this unfolds. We'll have to end it here. Thank you so much, Professor Pasha, for joining on HW. Thank you.
Thank you.